Welcome to the Leading Voices in Food podcast, an educational series produced by the World Food Policy Center at Duke University. I'm Deborah Hill. You're listening to a segment in our Voice of Farming series.
Hurricane Dorian whipping up waves in the Northeast.
This is what now to that catastrophic flooding from Hurricane Matthew. It's taking
Hurricane Florence is making landfall after thrashing the Carolinas all night long with devastating flooding and damaging winds. Forecasters are warning that Florence's storm surge is life-threatening and will be even worse at high tide.
We are about a half a mile from the Pamlico side, so the only thing between us and Cape Hatteras is water. We can climb to the top of our grain elevator and see shrimp boats in the side. I've always heard the saying that dry weather will scare you to death and wet weather will kill you. And here, our crops are hurt by too much water, many more times than dry weather. I'm Dawson Pugh from Englehart, North Carolina. My wife Bethany and I have 4 kids, and we own and operate Middlecreek Farms. Eastern North Carolina is hit by hurricanes more than anywhere else in the country. And right here where our farm is we're about 18 inches to 2 foot above sea level. And whenever a hurricane comes, a lot of times we have saltwater flooding during the storm, and in the last, 5 or 6 years, it seems like we've had it a lot more than normal. Most years we hope for, every time we hope for good soaking rain ahead of the storm, so if we do get flooding, that the salt water won't soak into the land. But saltwater intrusion is something that we deal with all the time. And just during Florence, we had probably 2/3 of our farmland was covered with tide water from the hurricane, salt water, ocean water. So it's really salt, and we didn't get much rain, and we were really worried that it was really going to have an effect on our farmland for this year. But the good thing is we had a really wet winter, where most people were probably not wanting all the rain that we got last winter, but I was really glad to see it, and it helped flush a lot of the salt out of our soil, and we hadn't really seen a lot of damage other than places that we had been seeing it before. So this area is called the Blacklands, and because of our high organic soils, our soil is blacker, really productive soil, but it's flat soil, hard to drain. So we've got ditches and drainage systems that we have to have in place to be able to farm it. We farm about 4,200 acres, and we grow corn, soybeans, both of those for corn for grain, used for animal feed here in the state, and soybeans used some for seed, but most for soybean meal for the animals, livestock industry. Then we grow fresh market red and yellow potatoes that we bag. We're a partner in Pamlico Shores is the name of our business that we do potatoes, and we pack those potatoes to go straight to grocery stores or sell to food service. We grow Mesquite sweet onion. We don't grow many acres, but we sell pretty much we don't do any commercial selling. We sell by the bag and we also grow fresh market and processing green beans.
Dawson now farms 4,200 acres of land. To cope with the flat topography of the area, saltwater flooding, and issues of standing water, his farmland is divided into triangles. Each triangle has been graded to drain water off his crop fields and into an extensive canal system.
I don't know that there is a normal rain, but I think it's somewhere around 50 to 55 inches is normal. Some years, 75. Not many years we're probably below 50, but we're affected. I think I said a while ago, but more years than not we're affected by too much rain. And the big rains are what you can get a 4 and 5 inch rain and the water stands because the land is flat and we're low, and it just takes a while for it to get off. And then especially if the land is already saturated and you get a big rain like that, then we have to pump the water off. So, and it takes a lot of time. And if in the summertime when it's hot and you've got standing water, then it kills the crops. All of our land is not pumped. Some of it's naturally drained. Some places that we have stationary pumps that are there said that they're there all the time. It's a system. It's not just a pump. It's a system. It's a, you know, you've got your field ditches, then you've got your ditches that you've got a larger ditch that drains those field ditches to a larger canal, and there's a dike around the farm to keep salt water from coming in, and you've got a pumping station there that pumps the water out. And we've got pumps that range from 12-inch pump to 36-inch pumps to drain, depending on the size of the farm and, you know, how much water we have to get off. We also have portable pumps that hook to tractors, and if we've got a spot that, you know, we don't have a pump there, that we can go and put that pump in, pump that place out, and move it to another one. Or if we have something that goes wrong with one of our stationary pumps, we can use one of those portable pumps or several of those portable pumps to pump it out. So if we've got all of our portable pumps and stationary pumps running, I think that's about 15 pumps. So we stay busy just tending the pumps when we have an event like that. You know, we farm some of the oldest farmland in the country right here where we're farming, because this is old land. A lot of the land that we're farming, you know, a lot of the land in the Blacklands was cleared, but this land has been farmed for since the 1700s, some of it. So we've got something that we need to protect. I mean, this might have used to be swamp, but it was a swamp a long time ago. So, and I really believe that you know, when the settlers came to settle the land, they were finding a higher land that this probably wasn't swamp. They just find some fertile soil and started planting it. We've lost land to saltwater intrusion. Some land that we've that I remember being farmed that's grown up in trees now because just couldn't grow anything on it. But I remember going. I remember I'm talking about places that used to be farmed like 75 years ago that, you know, I don't ever remember being farmed because they just quit farming because of that too. So we see it gaining in some areas where, you know, we work all the time to try to prevent salt. We've got tide gates that we use to keep the salt water from coming into ditches, but allows the fresh water to go out of the fields. I don't even have a number on how many of those we have, but when we get a rain event, you know, that's something that somebody stays busy just making sure that there's no trash hung in them. But we've been fighting salt for. I mean, my daddy said that his granddaddy dealt with it, so it's nothing new. It just seems like maybe getting a little bit worse, or maybe we're paying more attention to it. I'm not sure, but I know that the flooding that we've had from the hurricanes, seems like we're getting more of that, so that's affecting it in some places also. But the reason that we want a good, you know, rain ahead of the hurricane or ahead of the tide water is because the soil can soak the fresh water in, and it can be saturated when the salt water comes over the land, and it won't allow the salt water to soak into the land. We've got some places that we are trying to recover. I've taken out of production, letting some natural grasses grow. That, you know, where if you plant a crop, they might not grow, but there's some natural grasses that'll grow, and just let it grow for several years and just testing to see, and also putting in new structures to help protect that from salt water. Some places that, you know, it's ongoing. It's not something that's in place that we have to maintain. We're always putting in new structures to help keep the salt water out, and maybe build a new dike to keep flooding out of it. We also try, in places that we try to flood it with fresh water in the winter to push the salt down. With, you know, use fresh water to do it. So it's a work in progress. We have successfully bought some areas back, but it's not areas that are so bad they won't grow anything. It's the places that you see some effects, but you don't. There's still a crop growing there, so you can go in there and make it better. And I think that the places that are so bad that the crops won't grow on, we probably are making them better, but it just takes a lot more time. That's the main. And it depends on soil type. If it's higher organic, blacker soil, the soil it doesn't pack as much as a clay soil does, so water can penetrate through it, and it'll allow the water to push the salt out of it too. So there's a lot of different variables there, but we're making some headway on some places. Some places we're, you know, other places we're losing just because of frequent flooding. some things we've been thinking about since we've been having the hurricanes, and is trying to find some crops that we can harvest before hurricane season. So, you know, I like to grow vegetable crops, and we can get those harvested in the summertime. So if we could get, you know, maybe not have as many acres, but have crops that we can depend on to pay the bills, where we wouldn't have to depend on the corn and soybeans as much, that we can get harvested in May, June, July, maybe 1st of August. That would mean a lot for us. And then when a hurricane comes and we get flooding, then if we've lost some soybeans, it won't matter as much to us. And that's something we're kind of working toward. It's not something that we can do in 1 year. And knowing that my son Stephen that wants to come back and farm, and possibly I want to be able, if the rest my other kids want to be able to farm, I want to be able to give them that option. And I feel like that might be the direction that we need to head into.
Thank you for listening. If you would like to subscribe to the Leading Voices in Food podcast series, you can do so at Google Play, Stitcher, Radio Public, or Apple Podcasts, or by visiting our website at the Duke World Food Policy Center. This is Deborah Hill.